I just finished part 2 of Arcane season 2, and it was a lot. A lot made me happy, but a lot made me sad. Last time I organized my thoughts by separating them into each character and what I thought about everything they were doing, but this time I decided to organize my thoughts by turning them into a sorrow sandwich. Kind of like a compliment sandwich, where we have happy stuff on the outside, less happy stuff, the worst stuff, but then we get happier again. But like last time, this is just a ramble with no end goal. I just want to talk about Arcane. I also don't play League of Legends, and I had a prediction bingo card that I made that I will show off in the end and see if I got anything right. But on to the first batch of things that made me actually happy about this part of the season. So first things first, first scene. Maddie and Caitlyn are together, and I did like that. I feel like they deserve each other. And in regards to them getting between Caitlyn and Vi's relationship, we already know I'm mad at Caitlyn. We already know I think Vi deserves better. But also, I don't feel the need to wish death on Maddie. We're all lesbians here. Like, we've all been in a relationship with just like an evil woman who's also not over her ex. I think we understand that that's a fate worse than death. I think anything you could wish on her could never compare to the actual reality of her situation. I also really liked the scene where Caitlyn's walking through the prison, seeing what the Beast did, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, you want to blame everything on Jinx? So you're gonna blame like this fucking Beast attack on Jinx too? And then she does, and I thought that was really funny. She turns to, I think, the doctor and screams, what did Jinx have to do with it? And it's like, I guess she was there, but does Caitlyn even know that? I just thought that was very funny. But in the same vein as the Vanderbeest thing, I did think it was funny that the Vanderbeest had to go down an elevator to get into the prison. Just the visual of this like huge monstrous beast who doesn't really have the mind of a man anymore, trying to figure out elevator buttons, and also just having to stop off at a couple floors to be like, this one, sniff the air for the blood. No, gotta go down a few more. It's just kind of a funny visual. I wish we could have gotten that POV. But to continue on with things I like, we're still in Stillwater, but I loved the scene with Stillwater, and probably my favorite part of this whole act was Savika and Jinx and their little antics that they got up to while Jinx was pretending to be an enforcer. The whole scene was very funny. I also really liked that in the beginning of the episode, when Jinx is talking to Isha, she goes, Jinx is dead. But then a little later in that scene with Savika, she gets really upset because the guard won't believe she's Jinx, and now she's like, I am Jinx. And I thought that was a really cute way to show her sort of embracing who she is instead of pushing it away and sort of separating herself into these different parts. I really liked that development for Jinx's part. I also loved Savika's haircut. I will not be taking any other opinions. It looks so good, especially in that scene when Ambessa walks by them in Stillwater, when she's like looking up through it. It looks so good. She looks so good. Still on Savika, I thought it was really funny that she lost, what, like her third arm now? I also like that last part. We saw her really struggling to use a screwdriver one-handed, but this part we saw her like totally confident, competently fighting with only one arm. I just really like where her priorities are at with that one. Also for Savika, I really like her being very dedicated to a free and united Zaun. I really like seeing her get together all these firelights and other people at the statue with Vander, and I really hope she doesn't die because I think she'd be kind of a good leader for Zaun. I'm not gonna lie, I think her priorities are in the right place. I'm terrified she's gonna die, but I really hope she doesn't. Probably the final thing about Savika, which is also sort of about Jinx actually embracing Jinx in this part, is back in Stillwater. We keep ending up here, but back in Stillwater, when the Vanderbeest thing is like pounding through the elevator that we know he got on and push buttons to get down to the right level. I really like when Savika's like, you really are a, and Jinx cuts her off and goes, big fat hero, before Savika can say Jinx. I just thought it was really cute. I love that scene. I loved the fight. I also feel like this part was like just, there was more blood than other parts, and I really like that aesthetically. Just the aesthetic look of blood. For instance, I loved the scene where Jace like bashes Sallow's head in with a hammer and the blood like splatters onto the camera. I just thought that was really cool, and I'm just so interested in what's up with Jace. I'm less excited that I didn't get to see my boy Echo, but we're still in the happy part. We're still in the happy part of this list. We don't get to be sad yet. I also really like that Jace has a leg brace now. Like, I'm sure it's not the same one that Victor has, but that would really be telling about the healthcare system in like Piltover and Dawn if there's just one leg brace in the friend group that they just keep passing around to whoever needs it. But I thought it was cute that they have matching leg braces. I don't know. That's like friend goals though. Another thing I really loved in this part was Vi's outfit and makeup and everything. She looked so good. Like the smudgy black makeup, really dark around her eyes, really cool jacket, and she's literally like not wearing a shirt underneath. She's just like showing off her questionable binding methods, which that's a lesbian slay. You can't get any better or gayer than jacket over binder of any type. Huge fan. I also think she looks really cute with like the black and pink hair, like the pink mostly covered up by the black. But honestly, Caitlin wasn't wrong. She kind of just looks like she was like dipped in some dirty car oil. The other scene that I feel like was a real standout in how much fun I was having watching it, like how like Arcane has a lot of like really beautiful but very like sad moments. Well, I feel like this part did have some sad moments that we'll definitely get to. But I feel like it had a lot of scenes where I was just having a lot of fun, and another one of those was the whole mushroom cave sort of scene where Vi, Jinx, and Isha are looking for Vander. I thought it was so fun that they had to like clap to keep the lights on, and so it was really cool to hear this constant sort of clapping in the background, and also like kind of eerie because you can either see or you can be quiet, which they didn't really have to choose, but I just thought that was a really fun one. Also, the funniest part of maybe the entire show is Jinx just bitch slapping Vi and the lights turning on. I giggle every time I see it. It's so funny. Also, their whole little squabble and fight there was so cute. It was so nice to see them being sisters again in this part, but I loved the part where Vi just reaches out and like yanks Jinx's braids, because as a younger sister who had braids a lot as a kid, like I felt that braid pull like in my soul. That is just a universal experience, and it was just so funny to see their little sibling fight and see them getting along. Also, after like that whole part when they go to Victor's little cult thing, when Vi goes, what if we stayed and helped them out? Me and Jinx at the exact same time were like, what if we stayed? I just love that they get to be sisters in this part again. It's so cute. I love that so much, and I love seeing sort of how their dynamic has like evolved now that they're different, they're changed, but still seeing them be close. It's so cute. Also, in the scene where Jinx goes to get Vi, like from her little dank room thing, and you see Jinx writing her name on her face like Vi has in the mirror, and then you see her turn around and it's backwards. I both thought it was so cute that Jinx was writing her name on her face like her sister, but I also thought it was so funny when she turned around and it was reversed, because I didn't think of that when I was looking at it in the mirror, and so I got just like such a good giggle when she turned around. I also kind of wish she kept it. Like, that was kind of a vibe. It was a good look. And the final thing that I liked from this part all the way before we get into less like than despair was when Caitlin pulls the hood over Vi's head. That was so horny. There was no reason it needed to be that horny, but they did that for us, and I appreciate that. I still don't like Caitlin, but moving on to my next collection of things that I liked, but they have sort of like bitter sides to them. We're staying on the path with Caitlin in that I think her cape looked so fucking dumb. Like, I'm glad it looked dumb because it's Caitlin and I don't like her. I'm also not surprised that it looked dumb because a lot of Caitlin's clothes look terrible. She's got that stupid hat in season 1, which is like a uniform, so I guess she didn't really get to choose. But in that scene with Jace in her room, she's wearing like pajamas, I assume, and those are also hideous. So I'm not surprised that her evil cape, she found a way to make it look terrible. But the other thing I can't stand is that she never like pulls her hair out. I can imagine a million reasons why they wouldn't animate that. Like, I imagine it would look bad, and I also imagine it would clip very badly. But I just cannot stand that there's a character in the show who is just okay with like pulling on a cape and then not pulling their hair out from where it's trapped between the cape collar and the neck. Like, that's just such depravity. Another thing I liked was that after the last part, I was very nervous that this Doctor's Beast thing was going to be like a common enemy to unite Piltover and Zaun, and I felt like that would be sort of a disservice to the story. I didn't think that would be a satisfying way to resolve everything, and it wasn't what happened. I don't know why I don't trust writers to like write well, even though it's their job. I really liked that the Beast was something that Ambessa saw and immediately wanted to weaponize for Piltover against against Zaun. I like that way more than where I thought it was going. Also about Mbessa, at the end, she like does her little war cry and her army goes to like fight everyone, but I can't really tell who she's supposed to be fighting. Like, is she supposed to be fighting the beast that she wanted to weaponize against Zaun, or is she supposed to be fighting like the 4 people who are still alive in this cult? Because everyone else seemed to die when Jace killed Victor, so I'm just a little confused about who exactly this army is supposed to be fighting. Also, everything that happened to and with Mel is in this still I liked it, but it's less happy section, because I loved the focus on the water, which usually means like betrayal or like divergence whenever it shows up in Arcane. I like the focus on the dripping water from the beginning, so you're like, something's up. And you meet Kino and you're so excited to finally meet Mel's brother because we've heard so much about him. I mean, we haven't heard so much about him, and so you're like excited to meet one of Mel's family members that she actually likes, but then it's not actually Kino. I also love the scene where she just grabs his head and slams it into the wall. It looks so cool, especially with all the switching faces, and also like that burst of gold is very cool. But I felt so bad for Mel the whole time because like she woke up and there were like literally like bugs crawling on her. Also, Alora's dead. That sucks. Another thing that was quite bittersweet is I loved Savika in the first episode. I thought she was so fun, so good. I loved how much she was evolved, but then she wasn't in the other 2 episodes, which like I get, but also I was sad. I miss Savika. I love her hair. Let me see it. Let me see her more, please. Also loved how many just blue-haired lesbians were in the crowd when Savika was holding that rally at Vander's statue. I thought it was very funny. But that goes in the bittersweet part just because my hair used to be blue and I cut it all off like a few months ago, and I hate to say it, I want to dye it blue again. I don't think I'm going to, just because I cut it off because it was so expensive and time consuming, just like bleach and buy dye, put it on, and then I had to buy extra conditioner because my hair was so dry. So I'm not gonna do it, but like I want to, and this show is not helping me. Our final 2 bittersweet points was I thought it was so cute after Jinx read the letter from Vander to Silco, where Vi like reaches out and is like almost gonna touch Jinx, but then she doesn't, and you're just like, apologize, just apologize, make up. But I mean, they're on good terms now. It's probably fine. I just like, when she was reaching out, I was like, yes, and then she pulls back and you're like, no, please. The final point before we get into the pits of despair was the fruit in the cult. There's such like a focus on how much fruit there is. There's like fruit in baskets in what seems to be sort of like a marketplace or something. You see people picking fruit. You see a basket of fruit spill after Victor dies. We see very specifically Vi and Jinx eating the fruit. And so I was very scared the whole time because I thought for sure they were gonna get like, I don't know, some foodborne disease from this fruit. But then they didn't. I feel like the fruit might come back just because there's such a focus on it, but it might have just been sort of like, I don't know, a Garden of Eden thing, but I don't know how much that metaphor would make sense even if you like stretch it so it isn't like one for one. But I mean, there's more show to learn what that might mean. I'm not sure if it's something from League of Legends, maybe that's why they were lingering on it so long, but I'm very, very, very glad nobody just like died from it because I was terrified. We've officially reached the middle, the meat of our sorrow sandwich. This is where the saddest stuff goes before we go back to things that are happy and that we like. Starting off light, Jinxers is the worst name I've ever heard, and I'm so sorry I ever had to hear it come out of Savika's mouth. I love the fashion, love the vibe. I think it's so funny that you got like inspired by somebody's actions and just decided to straight up steal their outfit. So fun, love that. Hate the name Jinxers. Hate the name Jinxers. Yes, that's going in my pit of despair. It was that bad. I'm also very sad about Alora's death. I'm a huge Alora fan, and I'm so sad that Mel just had to like just see it. Like when we see it in her little flashbacks, that looks traumatizing. I don't know that there's a way to witness somebody die that isn't traumatizing, but that looked bad, and I'm very sad. I really hoped Alora would be okay, and I also just think it would have been nice for Mel to have a friend while she was in her little like weird jail pits. But who knows, maybe Alora will be resurrected. Speaking of resurrection, and by proxy, Jesus, I realized I didn't put Victor dying in this pit of despair, and I don't think I'm going to. What is in the pit of despair is we didn't see Echo in these episodes. I was so upset. Like when we saw Jace finally come out of the thing, I was so excited because I was like, Echo must be nearby. Echo must be right behind him, and then he wasn't. He wasn't there at all. I was so sad. I miss my boy Echo. Like I'm sure we'll see him next part. Like, obviously we'll see him next part. I just wanted to see him this part. I really missed him. And to a lesser degree, Heimerdinger. But I'm also so excited that we didn't get too much about where Jace and Echo and them were, because I don't know, it's just so juicy. It just makes me super excited for the next 3 episodes, which are gonna be the last. That should be in the pit of despair. There's only 3 more episodes, but it's just such an exciting, tantalizing thing to be able to wait to see for next week before it's all over. And then there's, you know, one final point in this pit of despair. I don't know if you could guess what it might be. Isha died! Isha fucking died! I don't know what was wrong with me in my head that I was like, oh, they wouldn't kill Isha. They wouldn't kill a kid. They wouldn't kill a kid that they introduced just to make me like and think was cute and like her bond with Jinx and Savika and think it was really cute and then kill her. They wouldn't do that. Why would I think that? This isn't even the first kid that Arcane has killed. I don't, like, I was so delusional. Why would I think that? Why would I think that? I was so scared of everyone else dying. I was not scared of Isha dying because I'm like, they wouldn't kill Isha. They wouldn't kill Isha. That'd be mean. That'd be cruel. They did. They killed Isha. And like, you can't have like a song playing in the background as she runs to do her heroic little thing with flashbacks on her happy life and expect me to be okay. That was mean. You killed a kid and then you made it meaner. The first time I was watching it, like, I was halfway through this scene with all these flashbacks and I was still in just such denial. I was like, oh, they're not gonna kill her. They're not gonna kill her. She's gonna be fine. I was fine right up until she did the little finger guns and went pow. Ah! Then I was sobbing. I'm almost crying. Like, my eyes have teared up right now just thinking about it. It's ruined my day. And then of course I rewatched the 3 episodes and I was like, well, I know what happens now, so I'm not gonna cry again. It's not gonna make me cry again. I cried harder the second time around. I started earlier and I cried harder. I was a mess. I literally don't know that I'll ever be able to watch the end of that episode without crying. Like, when I tell you I was having so much fun in these 3 episodes, I was having so much fun, then I walked away just because of that final scene completely shell-shocked. So unbelievably sad. I was not okay. And that was fucking mean. That was fucking mean. How dare you make me watch that? How dare you make me watch that? Oh my god. Anyway, we've come out the other side. We are no longer in the pits of despair. Perhaps we're in the pits of delusion, because here's all the ways I think Isha could still be alive. It's really just one way. I feel like Isha and Vander, like the Vander Beast thing, I feel like they really vibed. We saw her hanging out with him while Victor was trying to heal him. We saw her giving him water at the fountain thing. And on top of that, we also saw that scientist do something with some hex tech when Ambessa was watching, complaining about how incompetent all the scientists were. And we see like a huge explosion, but we don't see a corpse. And when Isha puts all the hex, almost called them hex cubes, which that's a sphere, so it's definitely not called that, but all the little things into the gun to shoot Vander, we also see like a blue explosion, and we haven't seen a corpse. I think it would be wild if they made me sit through that and then didn't kill her. Not that I want her to die, it just feels evil, but I think maybe Isha fused with the beast. To what end goal, I have no clue, because then it just kind of feels like maybe Vi and Jinx have to go kill someone who is also their dad and adoptive sister, which is worse. I think that's worse than making me watch Isha die the first time. If I have to think Isha died just for her to actually be alive and fused with Vi and Jinx's dad so they can kill her actually this time, then you're just killing a father, a young child, and a pet all in one, and that's a bit much. But I don't know, I'm living in denial. Isha's still alive. Other things that I really liked about Isha in this part was I thought it was so cute that Isha was dressing like Jinx, how much she idolizes Jinx. And I thought it was so cute that she like drawn on the little tattoos. And of course the scene where Jinx just like puts all the eyeshadow or whatever in her hair to turn it blue. It was so cute how much she likes and idolizes Jinx, and the way that Isha and a lot of the underground find so much inspiration in Jinx, but then Jinx finds inspiration in Isha, and it's just very cute. I really liked it. And the final thing I liked before we get to the actual happy good things again at the other side was I really liked Isha's bunny ears. I thought they were very cute. I think the only time we've seen like a bunny is Vi's like childhood toy, which, you know, maybe should have been telling, because I feel like the rabbit toy was sort of indicative of like childhood innocence, and obviously Vi lost it when it was thrown up, and then Powder got it, and then everything exploded, and then Isha got bunny ears and died. So it was a fun nod, but it felt terrible. we've officially made it out the other side. Now we just have happy things from here. I was really happy with this whole part, and I'm also very excited to see what part 3 has in store, because pretty much everything I was expecting for this second season has been thrown out by now. Like, my predictions were like meh in the first act, and they were definitely not here in the second act. So I don't really know what to expect in the third, and I think it's really exciting. It's not like a plot twist out of nowhere, it's just like a path I didn't see. I also really liked all the different like 2D animations that we got in these episodes. We got sort of the 2D animations when Vander's like running that were like all like red tinged that I thought were really fun. We obviously got the flashback sort of watercolor animations, seeing more of like Vi and Powder's childhood, which was really cute. I also just loved being able to see more of their childhood and also more of their parents. And also, of course, the final 2D animation was the ones with Isha and Jinx that were heartbreaking, but it was still nice to see those little moments, even if it hurt so bad. Oh my god. I also really liked the flashback where we sort of learned that Vander and Silco weren't just like a duo, but a trio with Vi and Jinx's mom. They were all friends. I thought that was cute. I also thought it was cute that Silco and Vander worked in the mines, and also that the gauntlets that Vander fought with and now Vi sort of fights with were meant to be used in the mines, which maybe should have been obvious, because when Jace was talking about like the Hextech gauntlets, he was talking about them making it easier for Zonites to mine. So like obviously it was there, I just never put it together, but I thought that was really cute and I thought it made a lot of sense, and I also really liked how that connected to Vi's weapon of choice. I thought it was really funny that Victor has a completely different haircut than he does currently when he's in like his galaxy mind space with Sky. He still has his older, shorter haircut for some reason, while in the present day, he straight up looks like a labradoodle. Like, I'm sorry, I cannot get behind Victor on this haircut. I love a bob, but I don't know, it's just, I look at it and I just see a labradoodle and there's nothing else I can see. I just thought it was funny that Victor liked the haircut enough to have it like in this plane, but not in like an ethereal, otherworldly plane. He's just experimenting, but he didn't want to commit all the way. And the final thing that I really liked, which isn't really so much about this part, but I saw it sort of in between parts and didn't get to mention in the last video, so I thought I mentioned it here, is on Twitter, Les's voice actress came on and she responded to somebody's tweet about something I literally don't remember. And she's also like, I'm trans and so is Les, and I thought that was so cute to have just like, I don't know, a transgender character. So I loved that both the voice actress and now the character are transgender. I thought that was neat. And I also think it's so fitting that she's like a cat girl. I was also so excited when I saw Lest again in this part, because I didn't think she'd come back since Mel wasn't here especially. I don't know if we'll see her next part, because again, Mel isn't here and also Sallow's dead now, and those were sort of our two attachments to Lest, but I hope she's there. I like seeing her. I got so excited when I got to see her again, especially after seeing that tweet. The final thing that I liked was the name of the last episode of this part, which was The Message Hidden Within the Pattern. And I'm not sure if it's related, but there's a pattern in the episode of people making lists, and Bessa has like a list of the tenets of combat or something, and then Vi has a list of things Vander told her to earn trust, and then at the end Victor has a list of traits about humanity or something, or the inescapable traits of humanity. I went back and like re-listened to both Ambessa and Vi's list, but couldn't re-listen to Victor's because I realized that it's happening while Isha is dying, and I could not watch it again. And I don't know what that pattern means. I'm not even sure if that's the right pattern that I found, but someone should look into that. So finally, for this, we have my little bingo card. The only thing I get to tick off this week is the I cry square. I cried 3 different times in this part. I obviously cried so hard when Isha died, but I also cried in the scene where Vi's hugging Vander and just like reaches out to Jinx and is like, he's your dad too. That I sobbed. That was a really cute moment. I also sobbed in the like watercolor flashback moment that Vander's having, I think it's Vander. That one got me. Those both got me like misty-eyed, wiping a tear or two away. But Isha had me sobbing. Like, sobbing. Full on, not okay, can barely see the screen because there's so many tears in my eyes because it's so bad. But at least that is a bingo square. Something that's looking much less likely is Alora being back. I said last time that I thought Mel was gonna die at the beginning of the season, but she didn't, so I wasn't counting seeing Laura in the first 3 episodes, but if she came back from this like rose thorn thing, then I'd count it, and does not seem like I'm getting that one. Show's not over. It could always happen. There could be a twist. I'm not feeling optimistic though. But also the thing that I'm like most surprised by is there were so many crows around Jinx last season. I have not seen a single crow in this entire season so far. Like, I thought more crows would be sort of a gimme space, and it wasn't. There's, again, still time. There's plenty of time for crows, but there haven't been any. We did have birds in this part though. There were birds in the little cult place. They're really cute and small and colorful. I really like them, but they were not crows. I need crows. I'm just not optimistic about anything else on this bingo card, I don't think, just because everything is going in such a different way than I thought it would be, which is good. I'm not mad. I'm glad my bingo card has been proven wrong on a lot of points, but I don't think I'm getting a bingo. But I guess that's it for this episode. Hopefully it's way quicker than the other, but that leaves only the final 3 episodes of season 2, which is really sad. I don't want it to be over. Maybe I'll just be able to double check off the I cry space next time. I sort of suspect that might be the case, because I cannot imagine a world in which the last 3 episodes of Arcane ever don't make me cry in one way or another. But if the last 3 episodes make me feel any type of way that make me want to ramble, there will definitely be a video about it. But who knows? Maybe the next 3 episodes will make me feel absolutely nothing. Maybe they'll be kind and they'll just be easy going and I won't have to make a video about them. Probably not, but bye. I was so sad after watching these 3 episodes that I just wanted to like watch something that would cheer me up, but the only other show I'm in the middle of right now is Yellow Jackets, which definitely wouldn't have helped. So I just decided to finish my library book that I was reading in the hopes that it would make me feel better. That book was This Is How You Lose the Time War. I didn't feel better. Why is every piece of lesbian media about everyone you know and love dying?